I don't think our time is very.
Let's see.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you, Mike?
Fabulous. How are you doing?
Doing well. Doing well.
Hey, I got a chance to visit the Choctaw Nation in Atoka at their Unmanned Aerial Aircraft Research and Innovation Center. Wow.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing.
It's going to be neat.
I didn't know that they allowed a human to own 44,000 acres all at once. 40, it's 25 miles long. Yeah, fascinating. Awesome.
That's great. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Good morning, Randy.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. You doing all right?
Good, good.
Good. And I see.
Looks like Estella's on now too.
Yes, I think Estella has joined us as well. Yes, good morning. And I believe that Dave has joined us as well. We'll make sure that he has joined us, and then we should be.
Good morning, Marcy.
Good morning.
Thank you.
And we'll verify if, I don't believe that Jimmy will be joining us, but, Superintendent Hofmeister has joined us via phone. We will go ahead and start the meeting, and then she'll join us in just a little bit, but we'll kick off the meeting here in just a few minutes. We've got a couple more in the waiting room, and then we'll be ready to go.
Thank you, Marcy.
All right. And Angela, are we good with recording and live stream? Is it active and we're ready to go?
Yes, we are recording. It's on YouTube. It is streaming right now, and we are recording this session as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, then we will go ahead and call this meeting to order. So I would ask Angela, if you will please do the roll call.
Good morning. Estella Hernandez.
Here.
Brian Bobeck.
Yes, ma'am. Here.
David Stewart.
Here.
Michael Brown.
Here.
Tim Berg.
Here.
Janet Smith.
Here.
Randy Gilbert.
Here.
Superintendent Hofmeister.
Here.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We have multiple groups joining us today to talk about the great work that they're doing, and we're going to go over some of the things that will be happening this month. And so, Superintendent Hofmeister, if you would like to provide your comments now, or we can get those in a few minutes. Which would you prefer?
Just keep moving with the agenda, and
Okay.
I'll wait on remarks. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So item 1.03, director comments. I have a few announcements, things I want to make you aware of. We did in your e-packet that you received, you'll notice that there was a link to the rules book. So we do have the rules that were posted. Those were activated the first part of September. Glenn is showing that in his screen, what the rule book looks like. For those of you who would like a printed copy, we're happy to provide that to you. So we do have those available. As well, in your packet, you also, there was information about our next session on our virtual Oklahoma Educator Industry Partnerships. Corey Gray is going to touch a little bit more on that later in the presentation. But you had that flyer in your e-packet. Last month, we focused on entrepreneurship. And so this month, we're going to focus on wind energy. So if you can connect with that, the link is in there. We'd love to have you participate in that particular session. Also, want to make sure that you're aware accreditation is going well. We did combine that with a hybrid model, primarily virtual, to where we're able to engage with the schools. We are still doing the interviews with all of the stakeholders, meeting the criteria that you as the board have set for accreditation. There currently, some of our individuals are finishing up an accreditation today. They started that on Tuesday. They'll finish it today. And then we have another school next week. So we should be completed with all of 8 accreditations by the first week in December. And then we will be ready to bring those to the board for your approval. Hopefully our first one will start that in February. So we'll have you the opportunity to start going through all 8 of those accreditations at that time. A couple of other pieces before we move on to approval of the minutes. Did have an opportunity for Oklahoma to be recognized in one of Advanced CTE's webinars this week on reopening and conversation about resources for career and technology education as we look at providing learning virtually. So we had an opportunity to highlight some of the great things that the schools are doing, the way that they're connecting with students. So we were grateful to be able to share that. And also, we will be sending out information to you on the Association of Career and Technology Education National. It will be virtual, and we do have Oklahomans who will be up for national recognition. So we want to make sure we'll share that out with you so that if you have an opportunity to watch that when our excellent educators in Oklahoma have an opportunity to be recognized on the national level, we want you to be able to participate in that. So be looking for that. We'll be sending that out to you in the next couple of weeks. And then the last thing I have for November, as you're planning your November schedule, a November board meeting was standard. Usually we have that at a school site. We will not be having that at a school site this year. We will have a different plan for our November board meeting, so we will send you information on that. But if you were trying to determine if we were going to be at a school site or what school site that may be, this year we will not be traveling to a school site. So we'll just giving you a heads up on that, and we'll send you more details when it gets closer to time. And that concludes all of the comments that I have. Other things will be covered in management information. So moving on to agenda item 1.04, discussion and vote on the minutes of the September 17th, 2020 regular meeting.
Madam Chairman, move for approval.
I have a motion from Mr. Berg for approval.
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Stewart. Any questions? Seeing no questions, please call the roll.
Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
Miss Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Berg,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck,
Yes.
Miss Hernandez,
Yes.
Superintendent Hofmeister.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
In our recognitions and presentations area, we do have 3 distinct recognitions and presentations today. As we had in our meetings in June and July, we had an opportunity for some of our national candidates for office to speak with us. And so we are very fortunate that we do have a individual in FFA that is chosen to run for national office. So we want to make sure that we provide the board an opportunity to hear from Oklahoma's national candidates. So our first presentation today will be from Madeline Gerkink, who is our national FFA officer candidate. So Madeline, I will turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Mack. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. They told me that this would be the state board meeting, and so I got really excited, but I didn't realize the kind of educators that would be on this call. And so over the past few months, thank you for everything that you guys have done. I know that I appreciate it, and several people in my hometown really appreciate it as well across the state of Oklahoma. I'm from Kingfisher, Oklahoma. I grew up on a farm and ranch just a little outside of Kingfisher. We've got about 5,000 acres and a little over 200 cows. And so my passion for agriculture started when I was really, really young. And now as a junior in college, I'm pursuing an animal science major with a biotechnology pre-health option and a minor in American Sign Language, with hopes to become a pediatric rural physician within Oklahoma. FFA started in my blood ever since I was young. When I was 7 years old, it was my very first state FFA convention. And I saw Travis Neithman give his retiring address. And at the age of 7, I set a goal to be a state officer. And from 7 all the way to my senior year, I started making connections and building that foundation for wanting to run for a state office. And then serving as a state officer within the state of Oklahoma, I had incredible opportunities to be able to promote and advocate not only for FFA, but for other CareerTech student organizations. And having several conversations with Dr. Mack and other people at Oklahoma's Capitol and on the Hill in DC, I've really realized what career technical education looks like and what that means for our nation. A few weeks ago, Dr. Mack and I were having a conversation about CTE. And I asked her, I said, where's the disconnect? If anyone doesn't support our student organizations, why is that? And she said, it's primarily just because they don't know about them. And I think that's a huge point as we continue to educate our students within the state of Oklahoma, as well as students across the nation. FFA has over 700,000 members, and I'm so excited to potentially serve as a national officer and represent not only FFA, but all of our career and technical education systems. So thank you guys so much for having me. And if you have any questions about the process or about anything that I mentioned, I would love to answer them at this time.
I don't have a
I
question.
don't have a question, but I would vote for you if I could. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Ms. Shannon. I was going to say the same thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you. Madeline, your parents must be very proud of you, because I know we sure are. And I know you will represent us very well. And I expect great success. I have no doubt you'll accomplish everything you've lined out and more. So congratulations in advance.
Thank you, Mr. Bobeck. Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
Please send us the mail-in ballots so we can go ahead and vote now.
Yes, sir. It's on your way.
Okay.
Madeline, we're very fortunate to be able to have watched you through your career. We're very proud of you. We're very proud for you. We look forward to seeing the results. I believe they're on October the 29th. And we know you'll do well. You certainly represent all of us very well. So congratulations. We look forward to the outcome, and we'll be watching. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And it's Superintendent Hofmeister. I just wanted to tell you how very proud I am, and we all are, of you as you think about FFA. And when I think about it, there's one word that comes to my mind, and that's leadership. How would you describe the role FFA has played in developing leadership for you?
Yes, ma'am. So like I said, started from a very young age being involved in FFA, but I would say, of course, throughout the course of my FFA career, I realized that there was leadership involved, but I truly don't believe it was until I got to college that I was really able to apply it and be proactive within my leadership style. We talk about different leadership styles, and I think the one that stands out the most is servant leadership. Here on Oklahoma State's campus, there's a program called President's Leadership Council, and going through it as a freshman and then serving as a facilitator and now as the undergraduate coordinator, I've been really able to see what servant leadership is. and how we can serve our freshman students on Oklahoma State's campus. But also, I got those skills from FFA. I got the ability to talk to adults from FFA, from talking to our stakeholders and talking to our sponsors. I was able to relate to just about anyone because of the exposure and the diversity that I received within my FFA career. With over 27,000 FFA members in the state of Oklahoma, the diversity is there, and it's so exciting to get to be able to showcase the conversations that I've had as I'm having them now in college. And so when I really look at leadership that FFA has helped me develop, it's that servant leadership aspect that I think I'll be able to apply for the rest of my life.
Well, we can't wait to see what you do next. And we know you're going to be an incredible leader now, but we hope the whole nation gets to enjoy your leadership. So all the best.
Thank you, Superintendent Hofmeister.
Thank you, Madeline, very much for your time today. We all do wish you the very best. We know that you will represent not only Oklahoma well, but also FFA and all of the great work that you've done. So we wish you all the best, and we will be watching on October. And so we will be watching. So best wishes to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Our next presentation that we have on agenda item 2.02, Mr. Lyndall Fields, Superintendent and CEO at Tri-County Technology Center, is going to talk about their program on skills to rebuild. So Mr. Fields, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Dr. Mack. It's an honor to be with the board today. And what a way to start a board meeting, hearing from that young lady, Madeline. Congratulations. The future is certainly bright for Oklahoma and Oklahoma Career Tech. And today I want to talk to you about a program that's affecting students so positively, primarily adult students. Students like the one I had the opportunity to meet just the other day. My daughter, Eva, attends Tri-County's Child Development Center here on campus. So I'm fortunate to get to be with Eva most days. And the other day I went to pick her up. And while I was waiting for her to come out the door, I met a young lady by the name of Brittany. And I said, "How's your day, Brittany?" And she said, "Gosh, I'm tired." And I said, "Why are you tired?" And she's like, "I started school today." And I'm like, "Here at Tri-County?" She said, "Yes." She's like, "I haven't been to school in quite a while, and the reading is significant, and I'm tired." And I said, "What program are you in?" And she's like, "I'm in the CNA program." I'm like, "That's wonderful. Is that part of our Skills to Rebuild program?" And she said, "Yes, sir." And I said, "So your tuition was waived so you could come to school?" And she said, "Yes, sir," as her eyes got brighter and her smile got bigger. And I'm like, "Well, I'm proud of you. Congratulations. Hang in there. I know you're going to do fine." And about that time, her blonde-haired, blue-eyed little toddler ran out the front door and gave her a big hug, and off Brittany went. At the time, Brittany had no idea I was a superintendent at Tri-County. Now, I had a hunch that Brittany was a single mom, but I later learned she was a single mom of three youngins, 32-year-old single mom. And we had the opportunity to interview Brittany for Oklahoma Horizons podcast. And Rob McClendon asked her during that interview, "Brittany, would you have come to school without Skills to Rebuild?" And she said, "Oh, no, sir. There's no way I would have been able to afford to go to school if my tuition hadn't been waived." Brittany represents thousands of students who can't afford to go to school. The tuition for the CNA program is just over $700. Now, $700 might actually be somebody's car payment online today. But $700 for the Brittany's of the world might as well be the Great Wall of China with her on one side and prosperity on the other. And it's that program, that opportunity that I want to share with you today, a program called Skills to Rebuild that's generating the kind of excitement unlike I've ever seen in my career in CareerTech. And I want to take a moment just to visit with you today to talk to you about the Brittany's of the world. There's a lot of them out there, and because of COVID, there's a whole lot more. Oklahoma's unemployment rate is now down in the single digits, far from where it was just a few months ago. And I'm happy about that. But the number I want to talk to you about today is the underemployed. Just 2 days ago, the Ludwig Institute published its data on underemployed, and it stated that only 45% of people 16 years old or older have a full-time job that pays more than $20,000 a year. Only $20,000 a year. That means roughly 55% of the workforce is working in poverty. Now, I believe everybody online here today knows somebody who has been laid off as the result of the pandemic. Am I right? Now, I can't hear you. You can give me a thumbs up if you know somebody. Absolutely. I appreciate that. So today I want to talk with you about what we can do to get that number lower and get the underemployed in jobs that pay a livable wage. Today, I want to share with you our Skills to Rebuild story. Skills to Rebuild is a partnership with the state of Oklahoma. It was conceived to get the underemployed and unemployed back to work to help stimulate our economy. The program was simple. It was intended to train 375 workers over a 1-year time frame that would generate a $10 million payroll. So prior to making the request, we surveyed our community. We called every healthcare provider in Tri-County's community, and we learned there was a need for 300 healthcare workers in the next 6 months. 300 healthcare workers. And of course, a lot of that was because of COVID. So we put a plan together to train 375 workers. And we had this idea that we could waive tuition. And that was a philosophical debate for Tri-County because we believe students should have some skin in the game. But we recognize these are really, really unique times. So we went about putting the program in place, and we put in a GEARS grant. The governor liked our plan. He liked the ROI, and he gave us a grant for $1 million to train 375 workers. Now, some of you might be good at math. I challenge you to do the math on that. How much is that per student? Don't have to do the math. I can tell you it's very, very inexpensive. We started the program about 3 months ago, and I'm an optimistic person. And I knew the program would work, but I never dreamed of the type of response it would have. 3 months ago, we've now received in excess of 1,900 applications for the program. 1,900 applications in 3 months is 5 times what we would normally get in any given year. That first weekend, our servers crashed, and it was pretty exciting. But what that tells us, what that told us, is that people want stability. People don't want to go through this again. And what everyone understands is that stability comes from work, from a good paying job. And the only way to get a good paying job, not the only way, but the most reliable way, is to get an education, to get a training. And this idea that people want to be on unemployment, I think this is a case study that says differently. And they just want an opportunity at a better life. And that's what Skills to Rebuild does. We initially planned to train 375 workers. The demand was so great, we now have on the books 581 slots. Now, this is exciting, but let me tell you why this is so important. The need for training is not new. You all know that. We've had a skills gap in Oklahoma for many, many years. All of you are involved in businesses and know people in industries. How many times have you heard, I can't get skilled labor? I can't find people. Just send me somebody that'll show up. Have you heard that? Well, we hear it true. So we've had a skills gap in Oklahoma, and we continue to have a skills gap. And as we move through these challenges, the skills gap is going to change. And we don't have to look back too far to see the breadth of the skills gap in Oklahoma. We were in the hunt for the highly coveted Tesla factory. Now, we can be proud of the fact that we got second, but the fact that we didn't get first Well, that's discouraging. And Tesla noted that Austin's ability to prepare their workforce was one of the reasons they chose Austin. So I don't know about you, but I don't like that. That frustrates me. Our ability to train the workforce is there, and I believe we can do it. So here's why I believe we have a skills shortage in Oklahoma. So on average, we graduate about 40,000 students from high schools every year. Our state does a really good job of graduating students from high school. We get them across the stage and we do a really good job, but a high school diploma is not nearly enough these days. We have to get more people in the pipeline in post-secondary education. So let's talk about that 40,000 students. Last year of the graduating class, roughly 45% went on to post-secondary education in Oklahoma. A few thousand more went on to CareerTech, some more went into the military. So roughly 15,000 students are left over that have a high school diploma. There aren't jobs for 15,000 people without a high school diploma in our state. So these 15,000 people are the Britneys of the world. They're doing what I did at the age of 18 in Skytook, Oklahoma. They're dragging Maine, they're circling Sonic, and they're dragging Maine again. Now that's okay if you're in high school, but these folks are in their mid-20s, and that's what they're still doing. We have a significant number of underemployed folks like Brittany circling Sonic. We've got to get more people in the pipeline. And let me be clear, this is not about college or career tech. I can't tell you how many times people say, it happens weekly, and Dr. Mack, I know you get this too. Thank goodness for career tech. Thank you for what you do. Not everybody's cut out for college. Nothing drives me battier than to hear that. The potential for these students are great. What people aren't cut out for is poverty. And 55% of our people don't go to college or career tech. We've got to get more people into the pipeline. So I believe that unemployment is not a sustainable economic solution. Now, how many of you, despite COVID, are still hearing that people need labor? You're all hearing it, right? People need labor. My brother-in-law, Chris, is one of those people. Chris has worked in the oil and gas industry. He's done pretty well for himself, but COVID caught him off guard. He got laid off, and he's like tens of thousands that got laid off, and he's tired of it. He's part of our Skills to Rebuild program. Chris grew up on a farm like Madeline in Maysville, Oklahoma, has a tremendous work ethic. He said, I'm tired of it. He's at Tri-County in our machining program right now. First week in class, he got hired by an outfit out in Nowata as a machinist. He's already been promoted to the lead of maintenance out there. Now, he's not making the kind of money he was in the oil industry, but he can be home at night with his son. He can make a really good living. So while we have the Britneys of the world, we also have the Chris's of the world. COVID has not discriminated. College graduates and others are getting caught up in this. So as we talk about the need for employers or employees, just yesterday in the Journal Record, Regional Director of IMSA, Heather Yazdanpour, noted this, and I'm going to quote her as we think about COVID. Even though the statistics show beds are still available, don't be too confident in those numbers. The problem with that is we are having a shortage of staffing, she said. So we may have beds that are technically listed as part of the hospital's capacity. What I don't have is the capacity to staff and take care of those patients. It's not about beds, it's about a shortage of nurses. And that's been an issue for many, many years in our state. The Director of Health in Oklahoma City, County Health, Pat McGo, even before the pandemic, the Oklahoma City metro area was experiencing a shortage of nurses, and the current health crisis has exacerbated the issue. It's not just true in Oklahoma City, it's in every community in Oklahoma. So what can we do about this? Well, let's think about the Britneys and the Chris's of the world. The underemployed who can't quit their jobs to go to school full time are now laid off, and school's an option. So why COVID has been so bad for so many, there might be a silver lining. There might be an opportunity. People are motivated like they've never been motivated before. People want and need stability like they've never wanted and needed it before. You know, quitting a job, even at Pizza Hut, like where Brittany works at $10 an hour. She can't quit her job to go to school full time. There's thousands of Brittany's around the world that are around the state that are single, or there might be a couple that have a few kids just trying to make ends meet, and quitting school or quitting their job to go to school is not an option. But the programs through Skills to Rebuild and flex programs like many of our career techs have across the state, they can go to school 2 nights a week. They can go to school 1 Saturday a month. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and pretty soon they go from $10 to $15 an hour. And I know $15 an hour is not a livable wage. It's not nearly where we want to get them to. But for Brittany, $10 to $15 an hour to $15 an hour is absolutely significant. So what we've learned from Tri-County's experience is that people want to go to work. Now over 1,900 applications. Imagine if we could scale that across our state. COVID can help reduce the skills gap in Oklahoma, believe it or not. We have an incredible opportunity. We have highly motivated people, available jobs, and affordable programs at every corner of the state of Oklahoma in our career techs. Others in the state can easily replicate our model. And I believe conservatively that in the next year, in the next 12 months, we could train an additional 5,000 workers, contributing $150 million to the state's payroll economy. And for a very small investment, Tri-County is now going to train 581 for $1 million investment. So friends, now is not the time for us to sit back. Now more than ever, we have to double down on our efforts to get folks into the labor market. And I believe Skills to Rebuild and programs like that can do just that. The Brittany's of the world deserve it. The Chris's of the world deserve it. And I'm excited, obviously excited about what we're doing in Oklahoma, and equally excited to be with you here today. Dr. Mack, thank you for the opportunity to be with you today. I'm thrilled to be with you and happy to answer any question. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Lyndall. And I would ask if any board members have any questions for Mr. Fields.
Yes, ma'am, I do, if I may. And by the way, Superintendent, excellent job. Wow, very impressive. And thank you, Marcy, for allowing him to present this morning. I felt like this was something I'd had the pleasure, fellow board members, of learning a little bit about this a month or two ago, and felt like we needed to kind of shout this from the rooftops. But one question, Superintendent, would be, if you are another career tech CEO, or you're somewhere else in the state hearing this, what would you advise that individual to do if they want to become part of a similar program or develop a similar program?
Well, that's a great question, Mr. Bobeck. Thank you. And thank you for those kind words. So what we have in terms of our flex programs, many schools across the state have. Ours are a little bit unique because they're not part of the Pell grant system, but all of the schools have similar programs. It's about providing this funding mechanism to get kids, adult kids, back to school. And so what worked for us is there was $1.2 billion of COVID money that came to Oklahoma. $1.2 billion. The career tech centers across the state got a really small piece of that. Tri-County was fortunate to get part of the GEARS money. Now, the GEARS money was at the governor's discretion and had a little bit longer timelines. And so I believe all of that money has been dispersed, but I believe there's going to be opportunities. And if I could take this a little bit different direction, that $1.2 billion has to be spent by the end of December. And I don't want to make this all about the money. This isn't about funding career techs. This is about funding students. And I don't believe that's all going to be spent. And I think some of it's going to be freed up. And we need to position ourselves to be ready for that. And the long game needs to be that there's going to be a stimulus package after the first of the year, regardless of who's elected. And if we can position ourselves to be ready for those dollars, and not just be ready for the dollars, but be ready for dollars that don't have those strings attached. And that was what's beautiful about Gears. Train this many people, put them to work, not all this other stuff. And so if we can work with our congressional delegation to help them understand this, I think there's a really ripe opportunity there. So I think call me, call Dr. Mack. Let's talk about what the program could look like and how we could get it funding. I think funded is going to be the challenge. But again, what we can do with such a small investment, I can't think of an investment in our state that can provide the kind of ROI we can provide in CareerTech.
Very nice. And I think this really goes to a lot of the work Dave Stewart, Colin, give you a shout out, Dave, have done with putting people in the workforce pipeline, at least in my mind. And I just applaud it. And I would challenge all of us on the board as we're having conversations with stakeholders around Oklahoma to point them in superintendent's direction or in Dr. Mack's direction so they can learn more and try to duplicate this. So thank you again.
Thank you, sir.
Superintendent, we often hear from the about a new program and we can only take like 15 people or something. There's only room, there's not enough classroom or teachers or whatever. How were you able to adjust to, I assume this is a lot larger number in a quick amount of time. How were you able to adjust?
Thank you. That's a great question. So that's the beauty of these flex programs. You're absolutely right. Capacity can be a challenge at a lot of schools. But when we stood up these flex programs, these programs are at night and on Saturdays, and that's how we were able to scale this and do it so inexpensively. So if you can imagine, for example, our precision machining program, you know, a CNC lathe or something like that can cost as much as $150,000. So we have the machines, we have the facilities, we've already paid the bills. So what we're doing is adding our capacity primarily in the evening. And with Skills to Rebuild, it was typically a Monday, Wednesday, one Saturday a month. At this quarter, we're adding a Tuesday, Thursday. So we've gone from roughly 18 students in our AM class, 18 students in our PM class, to now 15 students Monday, Wednesday, another cohort Tuesday, Thursday. So we scaled it that way. And the other beauty of that is twofold. Our machining teacher, that full-time machining teacher, teaches adjunct in the evening. So he's able to supplement his salary with $15,000. We pay $1,500 per course, and most of our flex programs are 10 courses. So $15,000, which is great. Now, if we don't need the program, if the job's not there, if the economy shifts, we don't offer a cohort the next semester. And it's not like I have to lay a teacher off or shift the program. We simply free up the space. So that's how we scaled it. And that's how we got from 375 to 581. We already had the infrastructure in place. So the cost, the actual cost, and I want to be careful here because our budgets are what make this happen. That's the core. This is on top, and that's how we're able to scale it so inexpensively.
Thank you. That helps.
You're welcome.
Dave, we can't hear you. I can see you trying to talk, but we can't hear you.
Mr. Fields, this is Estella Hernandez. I want to thank you for your leadership and what you're doing at Tri-County. I've been following up and learning a lot of the work that's happening over there. How about sustainability going forward and, of course, in years to come? What are the plans to make sure that that continues? And of course, the demand is there. So we know that the demand will just only increase, not decrease.
Great question. So, you know, these are unique times. We have a very formal process for developing programs, and we don't know what the future is going to hold. So we're training a lot of people right now. And I sometimes dream about, do we want to take this long-term about providing this free tuition? And again, philosophically, that's been hard hard for me. Our foundation has paid for our students' education by and large for the last 5 years without federal funding. And we pay up to about 66%. So our programs are about $3,000 roughly. And so 66%, that leaves $1,000 to the student. It's amazing that $1,000 until the last few months, I just really wasn't willing to accept that that was too much for a student. And it is, especially now. So sustainability, I think that's a conversation all of us can have. What are we willing to do? What could the future look like? And provide the kind of flexibility that's not afforded with traditional Pell grants. Now, I have a couple of ideas. I think COVID money could get us through that. I don't think we should be ashamed to ask for appropriations. Now, we know there's going to be a budget shortfall, but in my 30 years, that's all I think I ever hear, a budget shortfall, right? We don't want handouts. What we want is investment that can contribute to kind of ROI that Skills to Rebuild could. So, you know, if the appropriations hasn't been working, how about an investment in the workforce that can generate the kind of revenue back to the state that CareerTech could provide? So I think there's a way to fund this. I don't know what it would look like statewide. I haven't made that a priority, but just imagine maybe a $10 million investment or even a $20 million investment. Dwight's online with us here. How many people could he train? So we're going to continue to offer our programs affordable and try to find a way to bridge that gap is my answer to you today. I'd like to see this continue to go forward because people want stability, Estella. They really, really do. And we can offer that to them.
Mr. Stewart, do you have a question? I apologize, we can't hear you, okay. All right.
Very good and very informative and also very encouraging for the future of CareerTech. So thank you. Thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Dr. Mack, I appreciate the opportunity. My associate here is going to put a link in the chat box. If you click on that link and offer ideas, if you weren't heard today or have an idea or thought about your community about different types of careers that you're hearing need help or need the workforce, if you would put that in there, and I'll be sure to share that with Dr. Mack. But board members, this is an opportunity for you to get involved. You know, as we talk about visiting with others that have the opportunity to make decisions, hearing from you at the right time with your prowess would carry a whole lot more weight than certainly Superintendent at Tri-County would. So I'd love to hear from you, and I'm sure Dr. Mack would too, but we're just excited here, and I appreciate the opportunity, Dr. Mack, once again, to be with you today. Be sure to let us know how you feel about it. I look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Lyndall. I appreciate your time. And in the chat, there is a link that Lyndall mentioned. We will also send that out to you via email as soon as the meeting is over. If you have questions, we'll make sure that you have Lyndall's contact information as well. So if you want to learn more about the great things that they're doing at Tri-County, that you'll have an opportunity to do that. So thank you again very much, Lyndall, and appreciate the work that you're doing to definitely change lives every day. So thank you very much. On our next item on our agenda, as we talk about, Lyndall had an opportunity and talking about post-secondary, an opportunity that we have for adults. We also have, as we talk about partnerships and how can we make sure we're exposing individuals to careers that may be available. Dwight Hughes, Superintendent and CEO of High Plains Technology Center, and Kyle Reynolds, Superintendent of Woodward Public Schools, have joined us to talk about a program that they have focusing on students that are 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and how they work to build that career awareness. So Mr. Hughes and Mr. Reynolds, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Mack. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, we're sitting next to each other, but we're trying not to double up on the mic so we don't have a lot of feedback. So Kyle and I are actually live and in person at the TAP Center at Woodward Public Schools. I'll give a quick background on the program. Superintendent at the Tech Center, pushing my instructors to get more certifications out of our for our junior, seniors, adult programs. And finally, they opened up to the administration and said, you know, what we really need is a better product coming in. We get students anymore, just like Madeline, raised on the farm. They came in, they had a skill set when they came to us that worked well, that we could get them to a certification level in those 2 years, but what they brought to us as a foundation. What we were running into was not as many kids had that foundation coming to us. And so when the teachers finally opened up and said, you know, we really need better product coming to us with a better foundation. So we thought, well, that's a great idea. How can we do that? We need to hit the middle schools. We brainstormed at the Tech Center what we could do. Thought it was a great idea, just didn't have a place to do it. So one day, my good friend Kyle Reynolds came by the school. I just unannounced stopped in, and he said, "Hey, you'll have to come by. We're doing an addition down at the middle school. It's going to be a great deal. We're going to add some space." He said, "You need to come for a tour." So I came down for a tour, and he had an industrial arts program that they'd had to utilize before that they weren't going to have to utilize in the future because of the new addition. So I said, "What are you going to do with that industrial arts building?" And he said, "I don't know, but we don't have plans yet." He said, "I'm sure we'll figure out something." I said, "Come back out to school and let's visit." So he came to my office and we started talking about our idea of middle school, but we said it's bigger than just Woodward. We need to bring in our partner schools. And Mr. Reynolds was gracious enough to let us bring all of our partner 8th grade students that are interested in CareerTech into his center. And so we joined forces and put together what we call our TAP program, Technical Applications Program. And we've got a little quick video that we'd like to show you because I think it kind of tells the story of what TAP is. But this is our 4th year, and we'll have ran through 1,400 students through these programs. And we're just now seeing the effect. The 8th graders that went through the first year are now juniors at the Tech Center. And I can tell you the product has made a 180. Our teachers are so excited about what's coming through this program and then coming into our programs at the Tech Center that we don't think the program's working. We know the program's working. So we'll watch this video and then I'll turn it over to a good friend, Kyle Reynolds, and then we'll answer some questions.
My name is Cole Corneli, and I want to be an auto mechanic.
Hey, my name is Kagan Polson, and I'm a sophomore CAP student from Visai, and I want to go to automotive.
I'm Johanna Vargas. And I'm Wendy Contreras. And we want to be in graphic design.
Hi, my name is Preston Carter, and I'm a 6th grade Woodward TAP student. And when I grow up, I want to be a carpenter.
My name is Yasmin Reyes. I'm a 10th grade TAP student, and I would like to be in construction.
Melanie Calloway. I'm a 10th grade TAP student, and I'm from Woodward, and I want to do diesel mechanics.
My name is Cade Clem. I'm a freshman from Sharon Mutual, and I want to go into physical therapy.
I'm Cash Rose. I'm in 6th grade, Woodward Middle School, and I'm attending the TAP program. I'd like to be a veterinarian when I grow up.
I'm Ava Miller, and I'm a Woodward 6th grade TAP student, and I'd like to run my own business one day.
My name is Caden Spray. I am with the freshman group from Sharon Mutual, and I am interested in multimedia.
Hi, my name is Cameron Medina. I'm a 10th grade TAP student from Woodward, Oklahoma, and I want to be in multimedia.
I'm Catalina Ramirez, and I'm a Woodward TAP student, 9th grade, and I like floral designing, and I want to have my own floral shop when I grow up.
I'm Jackson Wilson, and I'm interested in the welding field.
My name is Kellen Chancellor. I'm a Moreland sophomore TAP student, and I want to go into welding.
Hi, my name is Jose Hernandez, and I'm interested in the wind industry.
All right. Dr. Mack, thank you. This is Kyle Reynolds, I'm superintendent at Woodward Schools. Appreciate the opportunity today to talk about our TAP program. Superintendent Hofmeister, I want to thank you for allowing our State Teacher of the Year to come visit Woodward the other day. She was glad to be doing something in person and not over Zoom. And I did bring her over here to see the TAP program. I think the piece of the story that's missing so far, and I appreciate Mr. Hughes doing a good job kind of prefacing things. And if someone were to just hear that half of the conversation, you might think, well, it really sounds like the local CareerTech's just taking advantage of the school, that they're just trying to build their program, and selfishly they've come onto campus over here and trying to grow their numbers. And honestly, that is far from the truth, because that initial conversation that we had was really born out of frustration on both of our parts. that tech ed program that we had, just a state nationally competitive TSA program that we used to have. All of a sudden we were 5 years with 4 instructors, or 4 years and 5 instructors maybe. And it was very frustrating that we weren't able to sustain that component of hands-on learning for our students. And so this partnership really was born out of necessity. It was born out of very high levels of trust between Mr. Hughes and myself. And it's not just about growing more kids to go to CareerTech. It's about finding their football. It's about helping me identify kids that we can find their football, the thing that keeps them engaged in school, whether it's welding or construction trades or automotive or health careers, that we can tie a string to a real life skill and a vocation and occupation and our academics. And that's what these teachers do very effectively down here. If a math teacher on the middle school campus walks in to Mrs. Goss and says, here's a component that we're struggling with, we're working on fractions and we see the kids are weak, she can bring that skill into whichever trade it is that they're working on here at the TAP Center, and help tie a string on things to make, here's reality and here's what you need to be doing in the classroom to make it work. So hugely successful program. It bleeds over in so many ways to the academic side on this campus, where my quote regular classroom teachers can come in and see how they can change the pedagogy in their classroom to match an active classroom with hands-on activities and make the learning in their classroom even better. Just last week, we love anecdotal stories, but it's constant down here. One of the TAP teachers was in an IEP, and student was struggling and not maintaining their eligibility. And so Ms. Goss said, don't worry about it, I got this. And within a couple of days, that student is motivated to get caught up on academics and make those things work, because the last thing that kid wants is to miss out on the multimedia opportunities that he's in love with over here, that he visualizes that as a career down the road. So it's just been incredible. We can show attendance numbers that, how our attendance rates are higher, how our discipline rates are lower, and it just bleeds over into so many things. And we're just fortunate that we have the sort of partnership that we have out here. We open it up to questions, or?
Yes, I think if we have any.
Yeah, this is Joy Hofmeister, and thank you so much to both of you. I know I was trying to think, when was it, Marcy, that you and I did our tour as you were was it 2 years ago?
2 or 3?
I think it may have been 3. It may have been. Okay, as you were kind of launching it, and it's so exciting, just even how the work, most everyone on this CareerTech board is aware of ICAP, and that now is part of state law. But so in order to graduate, you have to have gone through this process of planning and having an idea of where your interests and strengths are. But it also allows for 6th grade to have that formally begin. And what you're seeing with, Superintendent Reynolds is what that looks like at the earlier grades. And of course, CareerTech and under Dr. Mack's leadership even brings these exploring the world of work into our pre-K through 5th grade with online video type modules. But I just really appreciate the presentation. I loved seeing the students, and it really is about fostering hope, as we know that students that see a pathway for themselves, they can see that ability of, how to get there, and it becomes clear, and they've got all that support you're talking about. This is really exciting to see that streamless transition. And then how after they graduate high school, but
but just how it impacts other things with discipline, motivation, and again, back to that fostering of hope, which we know Dr. Chan Hellman is also leading the nation at OU with his work there with the Hope Institute. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed it, and it brought me back to being in your facility, and I think right as it was kind of beginning. So it's pretty cool.
And believe it or not, Superintendent, this room is full of sixth graders, and their attention is drawn right over here, and they're being great. They just got through testing their homes. They had a project to construct a home that would withstand a tornado. They had to work on a budget. They had to work on a materials list. They had to build it. Was it $150,000? $100,000.
I will correct you, Mr. Reynolds.
Yeah, and I was an English major. I wasn't a math guy, so I did my best. But they just got through testing those homes to see if they would withstand a tornado by taking them outside and getting a leaf blower after them. So it's been
two now.
Three leaf blowers. Yeah, 3 leaf blowers. So it's a great day. It's really fun to come down here and watch the engagement and the excitement with these kids.
Thank you both very much, Mr. Hughes and Mr. Reynolds. Thank you very much for your time today, and thank you for your dedication to helping students find their football, that passion that they have as they move through education, and making sure that we're helping them to find that bright future. So thank you both very much for your time and dedication today. And thank you to your students and the instructors that I see there with us. Thank you for allowing us to interrupt your classroom for a day. We appreciate that. So thank you very much. It's great to see the students today. So
we appreciate you letting us jump on, and we appreciate the state board for all they do to support us. And if you have Madeline's resume, you can send it my way. It'd be fine too. So
absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Marcy, if I may, to both superintendents, and Mr. Hughes, your quick pickup on the fact that there was an opportunity. And that was fantastic. Thank you for that. When you connected with Superintendent Reynolds on the building availability, I love that part of the story. And I was actually, Joy, going to mention our good friend Chan Hellman, because I thought about the same thing when you said that this is developing hope for the kids. And man, I mean, at such a great young age, the entrepreneurial opportunity, helping them connect with their natural skills and abilities, and then the diversity of the opportunity as they get into it, right, Marcy? Because they might, start down one way and figure out that that's not really the best for them, and they can adjust and adapt. So I'm all about the opportunities and the pathways for the kids to figure it out. So thank you both for all your hard work, and everybody else that's there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. We will move on now into our management information items. So we have 3 items. I want to give you a few brief updates. The reason that we have them in management information is to make sure that if you do have questions in dialogue, that we can address those and provide that information. Many times we've provided some of this information in our announcements, but we just want to take a little bit of time to put that under management information so that we can have dialogue about it if you do have questions. So Superintendent, if it's okay, I'll go ahead and jump right into those items. All right. The annual report, item 3.01, I will share out my screen so that you can see the annual report. We also sent a link to this in your e-packet that you received. For any of you who would like any of this information that you want to provide to a local industry or a group that you're working with, please let us know. We'll make sure that we provide you those documentation. Our annual report, of course, as we talked about, our business plan, our strategic plan, all of those pieces that you approved in September. Now here's the deliverables off of what you have set forth in our strategic plan and approved for us. So when we look at all of our deliverables, where we have the opportunity to engage. This is, we got to talk about the individuals that it's impacting. Here's the numbers that back up all of those specific stories that we heard from Mr. Fields, Mr. Hughes, and Mr. Reynolds today. Here's where that culminates into our touch points that we get to have across the state. As I've had the opportunity to talk to various people and be asked about your enrollments, they are down this year than where they have been in the past. And yes, they are down for FY20 versus where they were in 19. But as you can see today, and the programs that we talk about, the agility and making sure that we're providing opportunities in flexible manners and being able to move that forward with the examples we've had today, I truly believe our numbers are going to continue to grow. We are going to be able to move forward during the time period that we were not having instruction and trying to figure out how we navigate. Many of the areas have plans in place to navigate, to meet their community needs and their student needs. So I'm 100% confident when we talk about our annual report next year in FY21, we will be well past that 455,000 and back up into our 500,000 range. So those are some differences that we had there in the numbers that you will see in our annual report. Businesses served. Again, our businesses served. Last year we had a little over 8,100. We were down to 7,200 at the finish of June 30. However, a note to that is we were on a path to well exceed our 81. When you look back 2 years, we were at 6,900. So we still are making gains, but again, finding that way to move forward in our current circumstance. Took us a little bit of time to make sure we were doing that correctly, to make sure meeting the company's needs, but we are well on the path to be able to move those forward. Our skill centers, dropout recovery, in this particular area, we are seeing growth. We do have, I had mentioned our truck driver training program. For any of you who had the opportunity to listen to the interim study on CareerTech, our second truck driver training class has graduated. They were employed at the time that they graduated. So our numbers, and those numbers are not reflected in what you see here. We also have some expansion in community corrections that I will talk about in our meat processing, but we do have an opportunity. We are very encouraged that we will have an opportunity to grow our base of enrollments. We still are working very closely with DOC to make sure that the classrooms and our instructors, we can provide that education in a safe environment. So we're hoping to be able to return to the classroom in some of our areas soon behind correction walls. But the programs that we do have at community corrections are the programs that we have with juvenile affairs. We are able to continue to move forward with those and working to make that connection for our students and transition into employment and post-secondary education. Adult basic education, dropout recovery, continue to move those forward with the U.S. Census being completed now. We will be able to update these numbers because this is off of the previous census. So we'll be able to see what is that gap as we talk about a high school equivalency, and where do we need to target and making sure that we're filling that gap. So we will be able to see some definite differences in this as we have the census completed for this year. As Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Hughes discussed, our K-12 programs that we have, like at Woodward Public Schools, we do have our enrollments for our K-12 programs with 6th grade through 12th grade. We still are at the same percentage there. So our numbers have held fairly solid with our secondary. We do continue to grow in the 6th, 7th grade space. So we're continuing to move forward with that. And of course, our CareerTech student organizations, which was outlined greatly by Madeline. And Madeline is excellent example of the leadership and what students can garner from our CareerTech student organizations. Teachers and areas that we have in our CareerTech programs, 6th through 12th grade, and specifically for our technology centers, our enrollment breakdown of where we are serving various individuals. As Mr. Fields indicated, the adults career development, whether that and our adult career programs of how they're offered, the flexibility that is available across the state, whether that be a morning session, afternoon session, a Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. We have the opportunity to provide that flexibility, and Tri-County is a perfect example of how that can be done in the state and be able to reach individuals at the time for which they can participate in education and obtaining those skills. Breakdown of the various areas, and you see the cluster areas on this page. We have our 16 career clusters that we've worked from for multiple years, and Oklahoma was a champion in developing the career clusters, the 16 career clusters. Corey Gray in just a minute is going to talk about the 17th career cluster that Oklahoma is going to launch. Not all other states have that 17th career cluster, but Corey's going to touch on the energy career cluster here in a little bit. So our annual report next year, we'll have an opportunity to show our 17 career clusters in addition to the 16 that you see here. And of course, no annual report is complete without the financials that back that up. So we do have the outline of our funds for FY20, which was prior to our reduction. In FY20, we are very fortunate to be able to have the health benefit allowance funded for the technology centers, which is a statutory requirement. And so we were very fortunate to have that, as well as talking about increasing the opportunity for our students in K-12. We had the opportunity for funds specifically for our K-12 programs. We were able to add over 200 funded programs, fund over 200 programs in our K-12 with that appropriation from FY20. So as we move forward, and to Mr. Fields' point, that investment, we can show exactly how that investment goes directly into making a difference and being able to connect that to the classroom with the appropriation. So that's what you see in FY20. And the allocation, we have broken that out of what the expenditures are for each of those specific areas, all of our funds, state funds, federal funds, and our lottery as well. Lottery funds for us in career and technology education, 45% of that is dedicated to our programs in our PK through 12 school districts, 45% for our technology center districts, and then we utilize 10% of that dollar amount to be offered for scholarships for educators, so that we make sure for those who are working on continuing education as a CareerTech educator, we can help support them financially with scholarships. And then just another look at an opportunity of how our expenditures are here at the agency. All right. Are there any specific questions that you have about the annual report before we move on into Ms. Gray talking about that 17th career cluster that we will launch here in just a few days? All right. Seeing no questions, Corey, if you would like to go ahead and agenda item 3.02, if you want to talk about the 17th career cluster, which is energy.
Thank you, Dr. Mack. I appreciate the opportunity to present to you and to the board about an exciting opportunity. On October 19th, the Oklahoma Department of CareerTech and the Oklahoma Workforce Energy Consortium will launch a new cluster. Energy will be Oklahoma's 17th career cluster. The new cluster was created to increase awareness and encourage Oklahomans to pursue opportunities in the energy industry. The Oklahoma Energy Workforce Consortium is made up of members from CareerTech, the State Department of Education, the Regents, Oklahoma Works, and over 40 business and industry partners from across the state. The energy industry is expecting a shortage of skilled workers by 2025. In order to fill the gap, a diverse group of energy leaders initiated talks to add the career cluster on energy. Our business and energy partners did not see energy as one of Oklahoma's primary economic systems represented in our current 16 career cluster model. Energy is one of Oklahoma's largest industries. Using our multiple delivery arms, the CareerTech system already provides training for career pathways in the new energy cluster. The goal is to showcase Oklahoma's energy industry, to provide opportunities, and prepare students for careers in the areas of maintenance, design, production, transportation, generation, transmission, distribution, all forms of energy, traditional and alternative. A social media campaign will launch on October 19th, which is Careers in Energy Week. That runs from October 19th through October 23rd. I encourage you to share our social media posts on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn with your social media followers throughout the week. The October 19th press release will be posted on CareerTech's website, and a video about the energy sector, the need to recruit, train, retain workers, and how to get into energy will be posted on CareerTech's YouTube website. There will be videos from, the governor, Kevin Stitt, and other state officials will be posted throughout the week. The website is being developed and promoted by our business and industry partners. The new career cluster is important, and we are looking at building a diverse energy workforce for Oklahoma. We will send you the links as soon as it's up and running. In addition to our launch, we will have a virtual industry energy panel. This will commence at 2 p.m. on October 21st to discuss the need for qualified personnel and the benefits of this new career cluster, which is designed to fill the looming gap in Oklahoma's workforce. We will also be hosting a virtual OEIP, which we've talked about in the past, and you have a flyer for it. And the focus of this month's OEIP are careers in energy as it relates to WIN. So we're really excited. We have a direct focus. I just want to let you know all the members of the Oklahoma Energy Workforce Consortium will be sharing this communication through their social media platforms in a hope to reach a large audience. Any assistance that you can provide for us to highlight this new program and opportunity, we would really appreciate it. And once again, thank you for your time and support in this endeavor. Do you all have any questions?
All right, thank you very much, Corey. If you do have questions, information come up, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we will provide you that information. In your e-packet, the information on the resource guide about the energy cluster, that we included that complete guide in your e-packet. It is also posted online, as well as the information for the virtual OEIP. And Corey alluded to this, and one thing that is critical to note is when we talk about the partnership of education and business and industry, this is a prime example of the State Department of Education, CareerTech, and the Regents, all of us working together as the industry brought us a need, and they brought us an area of concern that they had. All of us partnered together to be able to meet their need and to be able to answer the call that they had, not only talking about what we can provide for one sector, but how do we talk about that pathway? How do we ignite and make sure as students are filling out their individualized career academic plan that they know we have this particular career available right here in the state of Oklahoma, and you can receive that training and start that through secondary, post-secondary to advanced degree, that we provide that. Not only to the student, but one of the other pieces and conversation that this allows for us to do is for any of our economic developers that might want to have the conversation about what Oklahoma education can provide across the board for skills. This is an excellent example of showing not only how we can address current pipeline needs, but how we can also fill that pipeline for our students that are going through K-12 and how they can continue on into post-secondary education. So it was definitely a group effort, and making sure that business and industry, they guided the conversation, and we came forward to be able to make sure that we're meeting their needs. So if you have any questions, we do have the information posted on our website, and are happy for you to share that out and help us move that conversation forward. The last update that I have under management information is on meat processing. So we'll switch from energy, we'll go into meat processing. So I've talked about this a little bit, given some updates, and there are some statewide advisory groups that helped to drive this conversation for us. And primarily it's meeting a request that the industry and various individuals have brought to our attention. And that is specific to the labor as it relates to meat processing. There are a variety of avenues for labor within the conversation of meat processing, whether it be current labor need, but how are we also going to be able to sustain and build that pipeline? So in that conversation and working directly with the Department of Agriculture and Secretary Arthur, we are able to now go to phase 2 of making sure that we are providing that pipeline. So we did launch in the end of June, first part of July, 3 online certification courses that are certified through the American Meat Association. And so from food safety to meat evaluation, culinary meat selection. So those have been ongoing. The next piece to that is, okay, so what's that next level? But this certification that's offered online, where core to what we get to do in career and technology education is the hands-on component. So what does that look like? How are we able to move that forward? So with grant funds that were made available to us here at CareerTech, we are going to be able to deploy that at various stages in the educational footprint. So we will have 11 agriculture education programs that will be offering not only the online piece, but they will also be deploying the hands-on components. We have 5 community correction locations that will be able to offer some of those areas as well, and 3 technology centers. So in that particular piece, the ones that are in this initial deployment are ones that have local industry right now in their area that are partnering with them because they have that specific need. So that is where that footprint and how we start that. But knowing that as this continues to grow, we don't want to not be able to continue to sustain that workforce. So we will have the opportunity to provide a mobile training trailer that can be utilized directly at a business site or at a school or for short-term training anywhere it may need to travel. So we will have that available as well so that we can deploy this training as it's needed to the industry as it continues to diversify. And we have other areas as their plants come online that we'll be able to deliver that directly to them. And it'll be broken out into various areas. We will, the next phase, the equipment has been ordered. We will start deploying that. It will start to be delivered in November, hopefully for final, all of those to be final by the first part of December. So we will be having the opportunity to go around to each of the programs that will be providing the hands-on And so we will share that calendar out with you. If you would like to attend any of those that are in your area so that you can speak directly with the students and the instructors who are providing the frontline hands-on piece for meat processing. We'll provide that to you so that you can see the work that's went into that and the process that the students will go through. We are partnering with Oklahoma State University and working on virtual reality. So if there are programs, and we talk about finding that passion, giving students exposure to the area. So we will be, by the end of December, our target would be to have our virtual reality components for the meat processing available for programs. If they're looking to implement this curriculum, they'll have an opportunity to see what it is about, as well as take it to the advanced level for some of the areas that they may not be able to do in their classroom. So the harvesting and those particular pieces as it relates to the meat processing, we will not have that at all of the schools or at those locations, but if they can go through that in the virtual reality, and then the students would have the opportunity also to visit Oklahoma State University's lab and work through that process. So that's one of the partnerships that we have, as well as we are working with Panhandle State University for our students who are completing that industry credential. And we talk about our partnership that they would be able to garner college credit as they continue on into post-secondary education or move directly into industry, that the work that they're doing in their high school classroom will also garner them college credit at the level and the rigor for which they're going through these industry credentials. They will be able to continue and utilize that in post-secondary education. So we're working with Panhandle State University on that partnership to be able to move it forward. So again, it is a true partnership in being able to make this happen. Our agriculture education programs in our K-12 are starting the hands-on. Our technology centers will have hands-on and also direct delivery to business and industry, as well as our partnership and utilizing the resource of Oklahoma State University and their meats lab, and working with them to make sure we're providing that full perspective of the agriculture industry and what it means, not only for meat processing, but agriculture industry as a whole in that education space. So those, that's an update for where we're at. We started that process the end of June. And so that is the process, process that we have made through here and progress to October. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, but when you do receive those links, and an outline of where those will be delivered, I wanted to make sure that you knew what was involved with that and what the educators have been working on. So happy to answer any questions. All right.
Marcy, Dr. Mack, I'm having a question on, I'm not sure when to ask it, is kind of on the big picture, and this sounds like a good heading for that. And a follow-up to maybe what Superintendent Field said about funding, and if there's being prepared for if there are dollars to, and helping train workers would be a great thing to do. Do we as a group need to, or are y'all working on something as a system to be ready in case there are dollars, or to have a recommendation for wise spending of those dollars? So I don't know where that fits, but I just wanted to bring that up. Is there something we should be doing, or are you already doing?
That's an excellent question. And the meat processing is kind of an example of, we were able to get that ready and kind of outline very specifically, this is what we can do. Here are the number of students that we can impact. Here are the locations in the state. We were able to put that together in a very short time period. And then we were notified that we would be able to have some funding to be able to deploy that. And so we do have a template. We do have an outline, depending on the industry and the area, the community components. Mr. Fields has an excellent outline of how they did the skills to rebuild, focusing on their community, were some of their labor areas that they had and their shortage. We absolutely have the ability to deploy that across the state. Where it may look a little bit different in other parts of the state, but we 100% can target their local needs as well as look at the statewide needs and move that forward with the training. So we can do that. Curriculum wise, all of the curriculum that I have mentioned, those are things that we were able to, because we do have a resource center here, we were able to deploy those and pull those together in a very timely manner. Two of the other areas that we're working in right now are aerospace and law enforcement. So we have some specific areas and needs that have been brought to us from industry. So we are working on those as well. So we do have a format. We do have a way to move that forward in a very timely manner. If the resources and the need are there, we can make that happen. So if there are conversations out there that individuals may be struggling of making that connection, we absolutely can put together the outline and move that forward.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, that does conclude our management information. We do not have any management action items. Superintendent Hofmeister, I am not aware of any new business, but I will be happy to turn that back to you.
Thank you. I'm not either. Thank you very much. And I guess at this point and actually I'll just ask everyone to mute your mic. And we'll go ahead and ask if there is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, very good. We have a motion and a second, and virtual meetings require roll call votes. So please call the roll.
Ms. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Bobeck.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart. I don't think he's on.
He was having trouble with his microphone, Angela.
He was, yes.
He did have to step off.
Okay, great. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Berg.
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Superintendent Hofmeister.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Everyone have a great day. And with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.